Welcome to the Lions Den. I'm your host, Jimmy Haas. We do this thing at Randall Ford each and every week, talking about UA Portsmouth athletics. Glad to have Coach Zane Gibson, head coach of the men's program, on with us this morning. And Coach, let's take a look back at the last four games the Lions have played. This thing has been just an absolute phenomenal couple of weeks for you. Number one, you had Washburn come in; they were the number one team in the nation, 22-0. Team played just solid. I mean, the best team focus that we've seen all year, and things finally bounced your way. The loose basketballs, you got the loose basketballs, and it was a game of emotional run, and we were watching you on the sidelines, and I think that's the most animated and emotion packed that I've seen you as far as at a home game. It was something to watch, and I loved every minute of it.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great moment for us this year. We've been up and down. That was obviously an up. Sometimes you just have to fight with your team, and that can be just bringing your emotion. Particularly when we were up, they came back, but then we held our ground at the end because we called a timeout with about a minute and 23, I think, to go, and we were down 3 and still found a way to get it into overtime, and then from there was able to win the game in overtime. And sometimes you have to be an emotional lifter when your team maybe feels like it's sliding against you, and that's where that energy and emotion came from. And was proud of the guys, was happy for the guys. It was a great moment. I think it was the first time we've ever beat a number one team in school history. So that was certainly a really, really good moment for the team.
Coach, one of the things that you and I have talked about is you have to protect the home court. And this year, you've won more than the opponents, and so you guys are right there. And you fast forward to this week. You had Missouri Western in, which was an emotional game, over 1,000 people there at the Stub again. And then you had Senior Day on Saturday. So you finished up your home schedule for the year with a couple of really tough MIAA games, and the team responded. I mean, the guys played good.
Yeah, we played well on Thursday. On Saturday, we just looked like we were stuck in mud offensively. Defensively, they still played fine. I mean, still held Northwest Missouri to 40% from the floor and 32 from the three, and forced 18 turnovers. I mean, only gave up 64 points. You feel like if you only give up 65 or below that you're going to find a way to, to punch out enough points. But, we picked a really bad night to have a bad shooting night. Versus Missouri Western, it was a similar deal. We played really, really well in the first half, played great defensively. And second half got a little tighter, almost like we were watching the clock, trying to get it to run out more so than just continuing to play the game. Still played well defensively. I mean, again, we held them to 55 points or whatever it was. And just offensively got a little tight in that second half. And, the thing about the MIAA is as opposed to, like where we just came from, the Lone Star, the bottom is still very, very good. And all these teams are physical. They're strong. They make you beat them. The teams in this league just do not give you games. And that's a little different. I'm not saying that teams in the Lone Star would always give you games. I'm not saying that. But, just the teams in this league are so solid. They just don't make mistakes where there's easy, they don't give up easy transition baskets. They don't give up easy looks at the rim. Like, they just make you go make shots. And on Saturday, we just didn't make shots. And sometimes a little bit of fatigue throughout the season. Also, as you mentioned, being Senior Day, sometimes guys put too much pressure on them. They squeeze the egg too tight. And it, because the ball didn't go in early, and sometimes the ball goes in early, it takes all that off, and then guys will start playing free. But the ball didn't go in early. Now it almost becomes that that tidal wave on top of them, and when their families are in town, they want to play well in front of them, and they're not always here for all the games, and so it's it's hard, it's human nature, but you're just trying to tell them just to play the game and relax. But it's hard to do that when maybe your mom or your dad hadn't seen you play all year and they're there that game, and you're also a little beat up from a very physical game on Thursday, and the combination of that and Northwest Missouri playing well can lead to results that like we didn't want on Saturday.
Coach, so up to this point, we still have 2 games left. You'll be playing Central on Thursday and then finish up with Rogers State You went 1-1 with these two guys, but the Rogers State game was a 3-point game. So both of these games, you guys, I mean, you just play your game. You're going to walk away with a couple of wins. But I want to point out some of the stats that impressed me about this team because they have played well this year. Just a couple of breaks just have not gone their way, and for whatever reason, but they continue to play hard. You're averaging 74.7. You're holding your opponents to 70.9. I mean, that's one of the goals you have to set at the beginning of the year. Outscore everyone and just hold that defense.
Yeah, our problem is if you look real deep into the numbers, Jimmy, we've just not been able to grind out or figure out a way to win the close ones. I mean, if you go back and tally, I did it maybe 3 weeks ago, and I haven't done it recently. But if you look in our, 2-possession games, because, it could be a 1-possession game, but you have to foul somebody late, or whatnot, 5 points or under. At a point in the season, I think we were like 1-7 in those games. And if you're 4-3, you're sitting in a totally different spot for your season. And then also, too, when games get tight down the end, your guys believe that they're going to win. Like I give so much credit to our women. They found a way to win tight games late. They really have. It's been such a credit to Coach McAdams, his staff, and his players. And that's where we just haven't figured out a way to get those wins because they can change your season. You're going to have 4 or 5 games where you play really well, and it doesn't matter what the other team does, you're going to win that night. You're going to have 4 or 5 games, kind of like we did Saturday, where you're going to play not very good basketball, and it's going to be very hard to win. And then every other game, outside of those 8, are going to be in those tight ball games, and what you do in the tight ball games will determine your season. And we hadn't had a lot of success in that range right now.
Coach, you've also out-rebounded teams this year, 34.7 to 32.1.
Mm-hmm. No, that's us just trying to be physical. And I give the guys a lot of credit for that because we're a little undersized right now because we're beat up.
Right.
Jace Lindenberg has been out since November or early December,
right.
And Deontay Bell's been out the last 5 or 6 games. Still a chance he gets back this week. But yeah, losing 2 guys of size like that, to have to play smaller and to still be able to hold our own on the glass, I give our guys a lot of credit for competing there.
Coach, this past Saturday was senior day. Going to lose some talent, but you'll restock and reload for next year. The portal's changed college basketball, college football, college baseball. How's it affected Division II? Versus the others. As far as basketball, Division II football, not really in touch with because we don't have anyone around that we follow, that we keep up with. But I know that it's impacted Division II basketball and the transfer portal. Some like it, some don't.
Yeah. No, I would tell you at the very core, I don't like the portal in the sense of like just the flux on your rosters all the time. Mm-hmm. But it's not that I don't like the kids coming from the portal or the players you get from the portal. It's just the principle of the portal.
Right.
But we have to use it. I mean, it's something that, I think right now, maybe 10 years ago, you would lose 3 to 4 players each year for graduation,
Right.
And you normally stock those up with either 2 or 3 freshmen and 1 older person. And so that's about how your wave was. And so you had a lot of continuity, your culture, your foundation. You didn't feel like, like right now, every time I think we start the year, we have to start back kind of from scratch when we're building with our guys because we just don't have a lot of carryover from year to year. But like now, I would tell you that you're lucky if you can only have 6 turnover on you. Again, 3 or 4 from graduation, a couple others, because if guys aren't happy with their roles or anything, maybe they don't like where they're at. I don't know. They're more apt to go, whereas 10, 12 years ago you were more apt to stay if you were in that happy medium. So we'll use it. It's speed dating, which makes things harder because you don't get to evaluate them as deeply as you do a high school kid. Because they get in the portal in March and they're making a decision by May. And these high school kids, we go watch them for 2 years sometimes before we make those decisions on those kids. And so yeah, it's something we're going to use. We do have a couple high school kids already signed. We'd like to sign 1 or 2 more. But then after that, we're going to have to use the junior colleges and the transfer portal to restock our roster. We also do have guys out right now, which obviously has kind of been a theme the last 2 years that Jimmy, we need to go find a voodoo something, try to take that off us a little bit. If we can keep everybody healthy too, that would help us.
Let me just say I'm proud of you. I'm proud of your coaching staff. You guys have stayed focused, and we talk about this. You don't like moral victories, and I get that. But as a fan, if fans open their eyes and they see and they watch these guys play and they watch the way that the coaching staff works the games, they can actually see the goodness in what's going on. So many times on the air, we'll talk about it on the broadcast. And Mike's, of course, Michael, played for UA Fort Smith, so he's been in those locker rooms, he's been in those huddles. He was there, with Josh, and that's one of the things I like about having him on the air with me. He can give us that inside perspective, so we can see exactly what's and take the good out of it. And that's one of the reasons I like bragging on you and your team so much, because you guys go into halftime and you'll make adjustments, and you come back out, and man, those adjustments are working. They're clicking, and it's happening. So, you guys are right there. And this thing is it's been a fun ride this year. And you mentioned it. There's been ups and downs, but the highs have been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we can see exactly where you're at, what you're doing, what's going on, and where you're headed.
Yeah, it's just, again, if you go look at all the rankings, our league is number 2 or number 1 in every the Massey rating, the KPI stuff, us and the NSIC, which obviously we're in the same region for. So, we're not going to get bailouts. We're not going to get easy. It's hard. It's like going into the SEC or the Big 12 or the Big 10. Like, if you were in the Missouri Valley or the Sun Belt, it's a different, the standard's a little bit different. And it's really high standard. It's really hard to get there. These other teams, like I tell our team all the time, they're trying to win too. They're not trying to just play the game. So both teams are trying to win the game. And so the margin of error gets really, really thin. I think we've made strides. I like the development of what we've done in this league, but as I've said, and I'll continue to say, is that our standard is to be competing for championships, and we're not there yet, and that falls on me. And so we got to keep working. But I still believe 1,000% in my heart that we will get there. We just got to go back to work and have a really good offseason.
Yeah, well, I kind of compare this team to our women's team. When Coach McAdams, first come to UA Fort Smith, he was having the same thing. I mean, real close. They would have one quarter that just would kill the whole game for them. And we talked about it on last year's show, that the other quarters were great, but they would just have that one period, that one quarter that would cost them the game. It's just maybe a couple of loose basketballs, maybe a couple of offensive rebounds. Your team is right there. I think next year, you're right there in the top 5, pushing for that conference championship. And I really believe that. I talked to you in the preseason about where I ranked you. I looked at the players that you had. I also looked at some of the other players from the other teams, at least with the lineups that I could get, because the portal is so late when we had to vote. But I liked our chances. And you guys didn't let me down. I mean, you were right there in every single game. You didn't get blowed out.
Yeah.
So I can see it. Yeah. And as a fan, I recognize that, and this team is there, and you're competing night in and night out. You're a team that the other teams don't like playing whenever they need a win.
Sure.
They don't want to play the Lions.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. I don't think there's a league game this year that we've gotten pushed out where it was not a game. It's just, again, it goes back to what we got to win the tight ones, which means you got to have, as a coach, you got to make the right calls in those areas. As a player, you got to make the right plays in those areas, and then you got to get a little lucky too sometimes. And we will continue to strive this spring, summer, and fall to get ourselves back in position for next year.
Coach, we'll follow you on these last 2 games.
I appreciate you.
And we'll see. Hey, listen, you can tune in on the MIAA network Thursday night. The men will tip off right around 7:30 Central Oklahoma, and then on Saturday, Rogers. And if you're in the Fort Smith area, listen, these 2 games are, you can make them. You can actually go to the games. They're close enough that you can make the drive and still be back home in time to get up and get rested and go to work the next day. So Follow the Lions, support this team. This has been a fun run all year long, and we're certainly proud of the job that they've done, the coaching staff has done, and I look forward to next year, man.
Thanks, Jimmy.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all. Hey, we're going to take a quick time out. We've got Z coming in next. She's going to join us in the Lions Den right after this. Welcome back to the Lions Den. I'm Jimmy Haas, your host. We do this each and every Monday morning live from Randall Ford, fourth oldest Ford dealership in America, right here in Fort Smith, Arkansas. Awful proud of that. Fourth generation family-owned dealership in as far as Ford. So, it's something that we're proud of. Proud to support this local college, stay in the community, and that's what we do at Randall Ford. We very, very happy to have Zyniah Thomas on with us, and we celebrated Senior Day this past Saturday. Your team has celebrated a lot of victories this year, and Saturday you didn't let us down. You played another great game, and you walked away with a dub on Saturday. I know that all of the fans and all the family that was there celebrating Senior Day had to be happy.
Yeah, so Senior Day was a big game for us, not just Senior Day, but the game itself. Yeah, we came out with the win. We knew that all week we had to come out and play hard and just stay the course. Like the previous 3 games, was big games for us as well. So we just had to keep going and keep doing what we had to do to get the win for Senior Night. And then Senior Night itself, it was great to have family there, great to, just see everyone's family and be happy. And yeah, it was a big day and a pretty good day as well.
So let's talk about you early on. You played at Skyline in Dallas. I actually spent a little bit of time in Arlington. I grew up in Arlington for a little while, Arlington and Grand Prairie. So I love the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex and all the sports that's down there. Basketball is huge. Everyone wants to say that that's, Texas is big boy football, but basketball is huge in Texas, especially in Dallas, in the Dallas area.
Yeah, so it is. I agree with what you said. Basketball is tough out there. Everyone competes every day. Every game is not an easy game. So, in practice we had to work hard, work better than everyone else because we knew that everyone else was working just as hard. So we just had to come out and just compete, like I said, every day and just go hard and just try to outwork the other team to get those wins.
How many players, off your high school team, how many players, if you can remember, actually, made it to college, playing college ball besides you?
Quite a few. I would say about like 10.
Yeah, we went back and looked. Yeah. So you were in some tough competition.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like that made you better?
I do. I feel like me just going to Skyline itself and being in that district, it was tough. And I grew a lot from my freshman year to my senior year. I grew a lot. The coaches helped me with that. My game grew. And overall, I just grew as a person as well. So I think it helped me a lot. Yeah.
So when you were in high school, who was your favorite team to beat? Who was your rival?
Rival, I would say definitely Duncanville for sure. Mm-hmm. Definitely Duncanville. They had some tough people in their squad my whole 4 years. So every time we competed against them, it was like we had to go out and just play hard, compete with them, and then try to come out with the win. And I think another rival would be DeSoto as well. They had some pretty tough people as well. So like I said, with Duncanville, you just got to go out, grind with them, limit their stops, try to score more than them, and come out with the win.
So I've said several times on the broadcast throughout this year that this Lady Lion basketball team is going to go as far as you can carry them because, it starts with you. Anytime that they need someone to break a press, they go to Z. Anytime they need a steal, they go to Z. You've had blocks. You've done it all. You're 5'5", and you're in there rebounding. I've got a couple of games here. I want to give you some stats. You were in the rebounding with the bigs against Washita. You had 2 blocks. You had 5 steals. You had 7 rebounds. And I mean, this is against players that that 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 inches taller than you. Yeah. And yet you're in there. You're in there bangling against Nebraska Kearney. You had 6 steals against them, and you never cease to amaze me. The way you play and how hard you play night in and night out. It has been so fun to be able to call just part of your games. And Bill, Bill Ferris does almost all of the women's games, and then I come in, but I'm sitting right there with him and just watching. I get to be a fan, so it's fun for me. Being behind the mic, you don't always get to watch everything that's going on because you have to follow the ball. But when you're on the court and I'm not having to call the game, I'm able to watch the back screens, the picks that you're setting, and the way that you and your teammates move without the basketball. To me, the way Coach McAdams has it going this year, you guys are doing it right.
Yeah, I would agree. This year has definitely been different from last year. I think coming in, the seniors knew that we had a job that we had to do, and we wanted to go further than we did the previous year.
Mm-hmm.
So I think coming in, we started out strong. We knew the game plan. Coach McAdams knew the game plan. We all worked together as a group. The coaching staff helped us a lot. Practice, they pushing us, telling us we got to go hard every day. It's not really off days.
Mm-hmm.
So every day we just go in and try to just compete and practice and then translate that to the games. And like you said, it starts with me. So I have to be on point every game, making sure my teammates know their spots and where to be. And I think, like you said, we move great without the ball. And just,
Mm-hmm.
When we have that, it's a different connection. Our connection is very strong within the team. So I think that helps us on the court as well.
So I'm pointing something out to you before we got on the air. You have Central Oklahoma and Rogers State, the last two games of the year. Right now, you're 11-6 in the conference. In the preseason, I picked UA Fort Smith to finish 5th. First time in the MIAA. But I believed in you. I believed in your team. I know what I saw last year, and I knew the quality coming back this year. So right now, you're sitting 5th. But we talked about it. You win these last two games, you're only a game out of 3rd place right now. So take care of business these last two games. You could be going into the to the conference tournament in third, sitting in that 3 seed. That would be huge for your first year in the conference.
Yeah, I agree. Coach McAdams has been talking about the rankings these last 2 weeks. So we definitely have to go in these last 2 games and keep playing the way we've been playing. Go out and get the win. And like you said, we got the chance to be 3rd place. That's our goal. And I think we're going to go out and get the 2 wins and then push on to the tournament.
Looking forward to it.
Yep.
What's your favorite memory that you're going to take away from UA Fort Smith? Because I know you're going to move on next year. You're going to play overseas. You're going to play pro ball. That's one of your goals before you actually settle in and have to go to work.
Yeah.
But what's your favorite takeaway from being here in Fort Smith and playing for the Lions?
I think, first off, shout out to Coach McAdams for giving me a chance 2 years ago because I had a season injury and I didn't know if I was going to play basketball and where I was going to play. So I'm grateful for him giving me an opportunity here. And I'll say, I think everything, just my favorite memory is just really being around the team and just being around a group of people who just welcome me here and then just embrace me and then also help me with my game throughout the whole 2 years that I've been here. I've grown a lot since last year. My role has definitely increased. So I think just me being here and, being around good coaches in a good environment has just been my favorite part.
Well, you've been a pleasure on the team. You've been a pleasure to watch. And you've certainly made our jobs a lot easier with the quality of play that you put out on that court, because anytime that we can brag on a player, it always makes our job easier. And I want to thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. That's Z Thomas. And listen, you can follow along these last 2 games. They will finish up the regular season. Central Oklahoma on Thursday night at 5:30 tip-off, and then 1:30? 1? Yeah, it says 1:30 on the website. I would tune in at 1 o'clock on the MIAA network at Rogers State, or simply just travel over to Claremore. It's not that far. It's an easy drive. You can be back Saturday evening and take care of anything that you need to take care of. So, hey, for Coach Zane Gibson and Z Thomas, I'm Jimmy Haas. Thank you for tuning in to the Lions Den. Back in the Lions Den, it's time to talk to our good friend Chris Davis at Randall Ford. Chris, it's Ford Truck Month, and a lot of savings going on. Some of the other guys are advertising their savings, but not going to beat Ford Truck Month.
No. Ford has put some extra incentives out there for us. We've been selling F-150s like crazy. But, because we want to bring everybody here to the River Valley, we want to keep business local, just like our support for UAFS. I know we did some great things over the weekend. We threw out some basketballs, I think. So
hot chocolate in the Randall Ford mugs.
Yes. We're always trying to give back a little bit. We're also giving back with savings. That's the other way we do this. We have been selling F-150s for up to $15,000 off. So, but, those big boys up in Northwest Arkansas noticed that. And so we saw some savings, that they were putting out there around $16,000, and we're not afraid to match that or dig a little bit deeper just to make sure we keep that business local.
The thing about it is, sometimes you'll see some ads, you'll see them on TV. They may be out from Oklahoma, they may be, from Northwest Arkansas. But if you don't want to bait and switch, just call. Call first. Call us. Call them. We'll just tell you exactly what your discounts are going to be.
Yeah.
We're upfront and honest about it. We'll tell you exactly how much you can save. And there is no bait and switch. It's like, oh, well, yeah, you didn't qualify for that. So, yeah, I'm sorry, you're not getting that extra $4,000 off. It's not that way at Randall Ford.
Right. It is not that way. And, these cars aren't people. They don't have feelings. Sometimes whenever you buy a car, you might have an issue. If you travel out of state or you travel far away and you have an issue, there's nothing like whenever you buy something here, if something pops up, they can just call, and I've heard them do it many times, like, Jimmy, check engine light popped up on my truck. You just say, hey, bring it over here. I'll get you something to drive. We'll put you in something.
Right.
We'll get you taken care of. My own daughter just bought a new Edge.
Right.
And for some reason, something's going wrong with this cold weather. It's thrown some codes because of the battery getting weak with this super cold weather that we've had. And so she just brings it over here. We take care of it. We treat every customer just like their family. That's a perfect example of how we like to take care of our people.
That is, that's a great example. If they're looking to save some money and have a safe, secure experience about an EV, we offer something that no one else offers.
We try to always be first. We want to set the trend, not follow it. So people were worried about electric vehicles. It sounds great. I never have to buy gas, but what if I want to take a trip? What if I want to go somewhere? Am I going to get stuck waiting to charge this vehicle? Am I going to get somewhere and hear one of those horror stories where the chargers don't work and so I'm stranded? It's called range anxiety. And we found a way at Randall Ford, and only at Randall Ford, to get around that. 3 times a year, if you buy an electric vehicle from us, you can just come in and say, hey, I want to go take a trip. I want to go see Aunt Sally. You do that, we will give you a gas-powered vehicle to drive on that trip at no charge to you. We'll just let you have one for the week. We'll do that 3 weeks a year for you to do that. A lot of people rent a vehicle just to travel anyway because they want to put miles on their own cars. You don't have to worry about that. You buy an electric vehicle, we'll give you a vehicle to travel with.
And Chris, that's not just for like the first 1 or 2 years. That's for the lifetime that they own that vehicle.
As long as you own that vehicle that you purchased from here at Randall Ford, we will do that for you.
Man, you can't beat a deal like that. Come by, it's Truck Month at Randall Ford. #1 selling truck in America. We've been for, almost 50 years now.
Yeah. It's long enough to say forever.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, come by and see Chris or anyone here. Come see me. Listen, we'll help you out. If you want to call us, just call us. We'll tell you the savings that you can get today, and we want to save you more money. Shop local, shop in the River Valley. Come see us at Randall Ford.